These potatoes are so good. Chefs don't want you to know how easy they are to make.
Well, I'm going to peel my potatoes. These are Yukon Gold. So this is a starchy potato. And once they're cooked nice and slow, they're going to be really soft and creamy, which is going to give us a really nice finish on the fondant. We're going to get a nice crust on them, but then we want the potato to hold up and not disintegrate, which the Yukon Gold will do. It retains its shape, but then when you cut through it, you have a really beautiful, fluffy, creamy texture to the potato. Fondant potato sounds very chefy, you might see it in high-end restaurants, but actually the bare bones of it is probably one of the simpler potatoes. I'd say it's arguably easier than making mash or something like that. So we're not going to wash the starch out of these potatoes, we're going to leave it all in there. Going to cut one side nice and flat. And with a potato, we probably want to have them about just over an inch thick. Like so. I'm going to cut my potato out like that. And then for a nice chefy finish, with a turning knife or with a peeler, just going to peel the very edge so you get that nice round edges. Because obviously if we cook the potato with those brittle edges, that potato will overcook and become mushy. So we're just going to round off the edges so we get a nice even product, like so. So we've got a nice potato there. That's a nice, bit more refined version. With these ones here, just to show you how we can do it at home, I'm just going to cut them a bit more natural. So again, the key with this is just making sure that the potato is all the same thickness, so they cook evenly in the pan. Like so. So we've obviously got the tops and bottoms here. That are really perfect for making mashed potato, or you could grate them to make a little hash brown or anything along those sort of lines. Just going to shape up some of these a little bit to make them look a bit nicer. You can try this with many other potatoes. You can really do this with hundreds of varieties. It doesn't have to be this. You could just do it with a bog standard Maris Piper. You could do it with a Red Rooster. They'll all be slightly different in sort of finishes, but as long as you're monitoring them nice and slow, you can really use anything. Okay, we've got 4 slightly different shapes there. That's a bit more of a restaurant-y cutout sort of vibe. And we've got something a little bit more rustic with these ones here. This is a very standard plastic ring cutter. One thing I didn't mention is when you're cutting that side of the potato, you want to make sure you get one smooth cut. If you start going in at the potato like 1, 2, 3, 4 cuts to get it straight, you'll end up with a jagged surface. Whereas what you really want, we're going to sear the potatoes in the pan now, so you just want that one smooth cut, and then you're going to get a really nice contact on the potato in the pan. I'm going to put a little touch of just plain oil into our pan, just to get the potatoes going. Potatoes going to go into the pan, not too high because we want to build a nice deep golden colour. You treat vegetables exactly the same way you would cook your meat, with a lot of respect, and you get the maximum out of it in the end. We're going to flip our potatoes, looking for that beautiful, nice golden colour. At medium heat, like you would cook a steak, you want to play around with the heat. If it hasn't got quite enough colour, just leave it a little bit longer. The pans have a little bit of a hot spot, so you're just looking to build that colour. If it hasn't got the colour, just take the time and just leave it in there. I'm going to pop in a little bit of butter just to try and get that colour really, really deep, because once you put the stock in, a little bit of the colour will come off. You want to go almost slightly more colour than you need, so that by the end, once the stock's on and the potatoes have glazed up nicely, you're still going to have a good amount of colour. Okay, perfect. The rest of our butter. A few slices of garlic. I like a lot of garlic, so I'm going to go heavy. Good, generous seasoning. A few sprigs of thyme for flavour. So this is just going to go in to infuse the fat and infuse the stock, and then we'll actually just take that out. Once we've glazed at the end of the cooking process, we'll remove the garlic and the thyme, and then just final glaze of the potatoes. I'm going to go in my beef stock now. It's going to make a little bit of a bubbling, cackling sound. So just about getting the ratios right. You can always add more stock as it's cooking, but we want enough stock so that the sauce reduces and makes a nice glaze on the potato. Not enough stock, you're just going to end up with a split butter. So once you've added the stock, so we're going to give it a little emulsify, turn the heat right down, and then we're going to pop it into the oven for the potatoes to cook through. Okay, lid on our fondant. Now we're going to transfer this to our oven. So we're going to set the oven to 180. So I'm going to put a timer on for 10 minutes initially, and we'll check it after 10. Right, 10-minute timer's gone off. Let's check these bad boys. Looking very nice. Be nice, be nice. Cool, so just going to give them a little baste. Looking good. How are they feeling? Still pretty raw. Well, a knife or a spoon should be able to go all the way through completely. So just going to give them a little baste. Looking good. Thyme's looking nicely infused. Nice, smells delicious. Perfect, they're looking good. So put the lid on and put them in for another 15. Right, let's have a check on our spud, yeah, Rick? In the oven for a total of 27 minutes. So the stock is reducing, nice. Potatoes are nicely glazed. So just gonna check the cuisson of our potato. Oh, getting there. Probably needs about another 5 to 10. Just needs to go through completely soft. So I flipped my potatoes once, I'm now just gonna flip them again. The stock is reducing nicely. If your stock reduces down a little bit too much before the potatoes are cooked, you can just add a touch of water. You can keep adding it. You want the sauce to be really nice and reduced. But obviously, if your potatoes are a little bit thicker, or if your stock was a different consistency, the sauce might get too thick. Okay, so our potatoes have now been in for about 35 minutes. Cool, perfect. So the potatoes are beautifully cooked, so we can let that rest a little bit. The sauce is there, nicely glazed. So all we're going to do now is finish the sauce and season them up. So the potato is perfectly soft now. The stock is really nicely glazed. You could serve these in the pan or in the center of a table. The potato should be beautifully buttery inside, but you've still got a little bit of colour on the outside. Remove the thyme and the garlic. Don't worry about a few little bits, it's all flavour. Put it on a very, very low heat. Going to season our glaze nicely. Bit of salt, bit of pepper. So just reduce the sauce slightly, giving it a little final seasoning. You can glaze the potatoes up nicely. You don't need a lot of sauce, just more of a final. Just helps season it up nicely. And just elevates that potato up slightly to another level. Just going to put a little bit of chive on the top, just for presentation. Don't let me eat any more of that. Good potato.